good comes easy in life. The probability of your success depends upon your hard work and attitude. You can never succeed without meeting deadly challenges. Nothing good comes easy in life. The probability of your success depends upon your hard work and attitude.
Good morning. This is Morning Cafe. Now, call it the coveted vote. Campaigns to the Kiambaa by-election hit a home stretch as contenders rove the different spots of the constituency, campaigning oblivious of the still existing COVID-19 danger. Well, a possible two-horse race between Jubilee's Kariri Njama and UDA's Njuguna Kawanjiko has equally attracted other candidates, some independent, others under different parties. Now, this by-election will sell the bigger picture of 2022. A win for Kariri Njama is a win for President Uhuru Kenyatta, they say, confirming him as Mount Kenya's kingpin. A win for UDA will be a big plus to the DP's 2022 game plan, and a loss for both will be detrimental to their political moves. Now, this morning, we engaged the politician in Kiambaa as we seek to understand their plan for the people. John Njuguna Wanjiko, the UDA candidate for Kiambaa Member of Parliament seat, will be joining us this conversation alongside, or will be joining us for this particular conversation alongside other politicians down on ground. Of course, we'll be having Willie, who was once an independent candidate but decided to support the UDA candidate. So we'll be focusing much on this particular conversation. Yes, we said, I'm told John says that he might not be able to make it this morning, but all the same, he sends that individual who in the name of Willie to represent him alongside, of course, Kariri, as we get to see whether indeed there's going to be anything that they have in sort of plans for the common mwananchi of Kiambaa. Just how capable are they to run the events by themselves without interference, knowing very well that a majority of them are being led by key figures that is politically in the country. It's going to be a conversation worth having. Call the people of Kiambaa here so that they can listen to their leaders and they also can understand what then is the game plan as they await this crucial by-election slated for this month. But importantly, we'll also be looking at other issues that have been captured on the paper and generally other conversations. It's Tuesday and therefore it is business with KCK. We discuss matters tax, and for that matter, that voluntary aspect where you decide that voluntarily you are going to make sure that you remit your taxes. We'll be having that conversation and we get to understand what then KRA envisioned when they set up this commission or this bit of tax, and whether indeed it is working in favor of them, and now of course going down to making sure that we are able to collect more taxes for the sake of the common mwananchi. I am told that KRA has performed so well this time around, and I mean in comparison to what we would have expected courtesy of COVID-19, it's a whole different thing. They've been able to go an extra mile in collecting so much more. So let's stick to that as we briefly look at what the papers have in store this morning. We have the Standard newspaper and we have the Daily Nation as we focus much on understanding really what then plays out in this world of news. It appears it's a bit different. Let's see what is here on the hard copy and what is here on the soft copy. This is a bit different and in comparison to what is here. So they speak why Uhuru won't visit Ukambani, suspected infighting and political jostling among the local leaders could have informed this, or could have led to the cancellation of this week's Uhuru's trip to the Lower Eastern region, a story captured on page 5. But on the front page of this other, that is the hard copy, it speaks of inside NASA leaders' tough letter to Honorable Raila Odinga. NASA core principals Kalonzo Mudavadi and Wetangula take the battle to their partner, that is ODM leader, with plans to withdraw from coalition, threaten court action over political party funds usage as their mails to Raila draw a blank. A story captured on page 6 of the Standard newspaper. We get details of the same. And also, if you can see on the front page, there is the face of Obado and Obado's 4-day trial in a tent over Sharon's murder. And we all know that this case has begun officially, in as much as the governor had requested that such is not conducted because of the ramifications of COVID-19. While in the dock, judge declines bid to delay trial of governor and co-accused in the murder of Sharon Otieno and her unborn baby, and rules that it proceeds under a tent over COVID-19 protocols from next month. A different one altogether that has been captured here. Police officers turn guns on their colleagues. It's really unfortunate, and I mean, there's been lots of questions as to what really is happening in the forces or in the police service, because there needs to be, you know, things that will be looked into, because it appears there's a lot also of mental instability amongst these officers. And Pop is alert after surgery. We keep hoping that he will be well. That is in the world news. Remember, he had undergone or had been taken to hospital on Sunday so that he would undergo surgery of the colon. And now that they say he is steady, we hope that he gets better. Ministry's State Farm's performance, and that is under matters business. Really, really important that we also get to understand how the ministries have been able to perform so far. On matter sports, Yego out as Olympics captain. A story captured on page 45. You can always grab and understand what then is playing out there. Security agencies map out hotspots. A special multi-agency security team has been formed to start mapping out some of the potential violence flare-up areas ahead of next year's general election, and according to internal CS Fred Matiang'i. That is a story captured on page 15, as of course we continue to prepare ourselves for the general election. Daughters disown mother in tax claim. The two have accused their mother in court of illegally adding them as directors of Palmer Holdings Limited, a company that is being investigated over an alleged 2 billion tax evasion. A story captured on page 12. It is interesting to watch that it would get to this point. And there we go. Like we said, President Uhuru Kenyatta was expected somewhere in Ukambani region, but it appears that he will not be flexible enough to proceed and go there. And that also has been touched on this other bit, revealed why Uhuru cancelled Ukambani tour. Yes. On the hard copy, Pope is alert. That also has been touched on. Police officers turn guns on colleagues has been touched on the same, and so much more. And we also have the Daily Nation. Let's briefly look at what the Daily Nation has. The front page of the Daily Nation, mostly the Daily Nation will be the same, hard and, you know, soft copy. New NHIF terms, private insurance to fast pay for some of the services. A story captured on the back page of the Daily Nation. We had an extensive conversation on matters NHIF and the plans and the proposals, the bill by, you know, we had this conversation with an NHIF official last week. You can go always hit our social media platforms and you'll get that conversation there on matters, changes on NHIF and how Kenyans are receiving the same, of what benefits then they would be. And members of parliament on Ruto's case, Raila Odinga allies yesterday told of Deputy President William Ruto, urging him to stop dragging the opposition leader into corruption scandals. A story captured on page 5. And we all are privy to what has played out over the weekend. Right Honorable Raila Odinga accusing the DP, or well, did not mention the name, but it obviously appeared as though he was pointing a finger at him when he speaks of leaders who go out there to churches to dish out cash that they have acquired out of corrupt deals, and, you know, firing shots again and firing salvos back. The DP as well was, you know, guns blazing on Right Honorable Raila Odinga, also accusing him of matters graft. And therefore the question is it a case of the pot calling the kettle black? Is it a case of, you know, they know who is who, but we also do not see them, you know, pushing hard in terms of making sure that they're able to deal with matters graft? The Right Honorable saying that if they find their way into government next year, then they will deal hugely and heavily, with these individuals that will have been mentioned on matters graft in the country. New tax measures were introduced to fund the 3.6 trillion budget for 2021-2022. And this is on matters finance. What shall we eat? With new tax measures taking effect this month, putting food on the table is becoming more and more difficult for Kenyans following a steep rise. That is the cost of cooking gas and wheat flour. Families are also grappling with an increase in the cost of cooking oil as a result of rising palm oil prices. A story captured on page 7, something that will definitely not rise well or augur well with the common mwananchi. We're looking at these basic commodities: cooking oil, cooking gas, maize flour, wheat flour, diesel, petrol, kerosene. Well, it might appear as though the likes of airtime and internet are not basic, but because most of the Kenyans or the youths are now in the space of doing business digitally, then definitely that also will not be easy for them. It will definitely take a toll. This in a bid to be able to collect enough so that we can fund the 2021-2022 budget, as has been captured here. And we drop that one, get to a different conversation. Supremacy wars as they get to derail Uhuru's tour of Ukambani. Well, disagreements between Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka and 3 governors triggered the last-minute cancellation of President Uhuru Kenyatta's visit to the Ukambani region. And I mean, this also, as is said by the president's handlers, they cited fear of a possible surge in coronavirus cases, and leaders who attended the meeting were convinced that their own political squabbling was the main reason for the cancellation. A story captured on page 4 as they attended this meeting in preparation of also getting to receive President Uhuru Kenyatta. Retiring governors failed to endorse deputies in succession race, and the likes of Siaya Governor Cornel Rasanga and Uasin Gishu Governor Jackson Madago, Wycliffe Oparanya, Kakamega. We also have Kilifi Governor Amason Kingi and Murang'a Governor Mwangi wa Iria. A majority of second-term governors who are barred from vying again have snubbed their deputies and opted for other candidates. This as the succession conversation or succession politics heats up in counties where about 22 governors are retiring after serving 2 terms, as captured on page 10 and 11. It's a conversation that it's on, and the biggest question is just what is left for the people that these governors have been representing for quite a while now. We need to add some light here, and yes, here we are. Good. Now, the People Daily, briefly, the front page of the People Daily: Obado bid to defer murder case flops. And I have touched on that on matters Migori governor's cases that are on, especially on the murder of Sharon. Jeff Bezos steps down as Amazon. A story captured on page 15. We all know what Amazon is all about. And now, so Jeff is out of this space. Then we see whether there's going to be anything different in regards to the success and, the operations of Amazon. Now, Uhuru again cancels Ukambani visit. We've touched on that. As you can see, it's him there with the key governors of Ukambani region. And state outlines 2022 violence hotspots. That is according to the report, as I have mentioned, by the Interior Ministry. Getting ready, gangs in Nyanza and Nairobi slums tension in parts of central Kenya and the volatile upper eastern region, giving authorities sleepless nights, as captured on page 4. But as they would say, they are all set to make sure that there's going to be security, beefed up for the sake of peaceful coexistence at point where, in most cases we know that elections comes along with so much intolerance based on, where we align ourselves to, and these different quarters also, throwing jabs at each other. State outlines 2022 violence hotspots. As I've said, the watch list, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission says there is a likelihood of violence in Marsabit, Turkana and West Pokot counties, and NCIC has also mapped out Nairobi, Kisumu, Eldoret, Mombasa, Nakuru towns as possible hotspots for violence in next year's election campaigns. But we all cross fingers that it won't be so. And this one matters commodities. Some of the new taxes, 5% mobile telephony and calling charges are up. 20% digital loans, borrowers to be taxed or to bear tax. 16% cooking gas VAT charge to raise prices. And of course, Yatani has been sued over VAT on cooking gas. Nairobi residents want court to suspend the coming into force of the Provision of Finance Act, which legalized a new levy. Those are the key stories captured on the papers, and we'll be looking at them as we continue. Also, we just get to know what is happening on the international scene, our neighbors around, and we'll definitely be glad to make sure that you are updated. So we drop that for a moment and look at what my team has in store, as detectives in Nakuru County have also launched a probe into killing of a police officer who was found dead inside his vehicle. That is Monday morning. The deceased, 28-year-old John Ongweno, was attached to the Nakuru Central Police Station under the anti-crime unit, as Sharon Baranga tells us.
The lifeless body of Constable John Ongweno was found inside this car, parked inside Kasarani Police Line Estate in Nakuru County. The car window broken and engine running. Also noticeable was the blood oozing from his ears and nose.
Right now, we are trying to investigate and come to the root of the cause of the death, because we cannot say it's a suicide, but what we suspect, someone has done it, because the Windows driver has been splashed with a stone to access the officer in the vehicle.
28-year-old Ongweno was attached to the Nakuru Central Police Station under the anti-crime unit. His girlfriend, identified as Caroline Kangogo, also a police officer, has gone missing and she is being treated as a prime suspect.
He's been working with us and is a committed officer, very competent in terms of crime busting. We suspect he was hit on the head, but we are yet to identify whether it's a blunt object or a bullet. So it's yet to be unearthed.
Spent cartridges were found at the scene. A stone and an iron bar believed to have been used to smash the driver's window were also recovered. It is suspected that Ongweno might have been murdered on Sunday night. The incident was reported on Monday morning. Detectives are already investigating the matter. Sharon Baranga, TV47.
Now, Kenyan has moved to court to seek the suspension of the 16% value-added tax on cooking gas. The tax has led to an increase in prices of the commodity, making it difficult for Kenyans who are already burdened by rising cost of living. Lekishwon Laban with the details.
The Finance Act that reinstated the value-added tax VAT on liquefied petroleum gas LPG has led to the increase in prices of its buying or refilling. For example, in Kawangware at the refilling stations, the prices of refilling the gas cylinders has risen by at least 350 Kenya shillings. Refilling a 13 kg gas cylinder has risen from between Kenya shillings 1,800 or Kenya shillings 2,100 to between Kenya shillings 2,400 to Kenya shillings 3,600. Official data from the 2019 census shows that 53% of homes in urban centers rely on LPG for cooking, compared to 5.6% of rural households. This is the home of Omondi Amani in Kawangware's Muslim area. He says that he has been forced to change from using the gas cylinder to kerosene, which is equally a challenge.
Mimi sasa nilikuwa natumia gas. Sasa nimeanza kutumia gas. Sasa inatumia mafuta taa. Na mafuta taa imepanda. Unapata nilikuwa nanunua ile kibuyu 700, 500. Sasa siwezi inunua. Sasa nimerudi kwa 50 shillings. Ndio nanunua mafuta ya kuisha saa hiyo.
Prices of basic commodities have risen, straining already financially struggling families.
Maybe tutakula 100 mchana, usiku tutumie hiyo 100 nyingine kukula. Maybe tununue unga kwota, unga kidogo, watoto wakule, ama kama itakuwa ni wasi, watoto wakule, sisi tukae tu.
Watoto wanafukuzwa kila wakati, hata leo nimekuwa shule wakanirudisha nao. Wanataka pesa, hakuna sahi pesa.
Bei imeongeza, kila kitu imeongeza, sukari, unga ndio hiyo, hata mjere sijanunua. Unaona 2,000 imeshaisha.
A Nairobi resident has filed a case in court seeking to have the 16% valued added tax on cooking gas suspended.
Ukitumia kuni wanasema umeharibu msitu. Alafu wanaongeza kodi kwa gas. Sasa wanataka mfanye nini?
What people say is your weakness is your strength. That is what Kenya needs now. Kutuliza maneno na kuchunga uchumi wetu. Amani na pesa.
The cost of living is already high for many Kenyans. The price rise of basic commodities continues to pile pressure on struggling families to foot daily bills due to job losses and drastic pay cuts following the COVID-19 pandemic. Lekishon Laban, TV47, Kawangware, Nairobi.
Now, Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i has announced that security officers are well prepared to oversee a peaceful electioneering period. Matiang'i says the whole country has been mapped and possible hotspots where violence might erupt have been identified by a multi-agency team that has been set up, as our reporter Mwangi Maina has more details on the same.
The Inspector General's conference that brought together county and regional police commanders deliberated on the state of security in the country, as well as election preparedness in the countdown to next year's polls. Interior CS Dr. Fred Matiang'i is optimistic that all measures put in place will see a peaceful electioneering period, void of political intolerance, incitement to violence and hate speech.
For the next 12 months, we are going to do all the simulations, all the planning that we need to do, and ensure that we are ready to support a very, very peaceful electoral process in the country, so that we should never have the challenges we have had in the past. Why should it be that during every election year, we even have challenges in the economy because businesses are hurt and affected and so on? We are determined to make sure that this time around that does not happen.
The special multi-agency team is said to have mapped the entire country and singled out possible hotspots where peace and security could be threatened. Matiang'i says elections shall not interfere with the smooth running of business, and 2022 will be business as usual.
We are better prepared now and better organized now than we were before. We are going to have our multi-agency team, the technical arm that is coordinated by our peers, begins the roadmap and the countdown from next week, which means we look at the map across the country, areas where we think there may be hotspots or where things may happen that we need to check, so that we are totally prepared to deal with them.
Police officers have been urged to deal firmly and decisively with hate mongers and not to bow to threats and intimidation from politicians. The Inspector General of Police has been challenged to deal with all emerging security challenges related to elections and campaigns for a peaceful electoral process.
We know the season of heckling, the season of incitement is just around the corner, and I hope it will form part of what you people will discuss.
This madness is not usually perpetuated by ordinary wananchi, because after all, right now they are going about their activities, they have no problem with anyone, they are in their marketplaces, they are doing their business, they are interacting amongst themselves without a problem. So why should they fight tomorrow and the day after? It's because some desperate politician is inciting them.
Meanwhile, a survey of police service delivery performance indicates that the level of public confidence in the police has risen to 63%, with Matiang'i attributing this to cooperation and involvement between the police and the public. As the country heads to the polls in a record 14 months' time, security organs in the country have pledged to support a peaceful electoral process, with the Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i urging police officers not to give in to anything that might hurt the security and stability of the country. Mwangi Maina, TV47 from the Kenya School of Government, Nairobi.
Deputy President William Ruto's allies took a jab at ODM leader Raila Odinga for his recent remarks, promising to jail corruption suspects if he becomes president next year. Now speaking while drumming up support for UDA's candidate in Kiambaa, Njuguna Wanjiku, Ruto's allies claim that the president has no powers to prosecute and that suspects are innocent until proven otherwise. However, Odinga's allies have defended the ODM boss, claiming Ruto is partly to blame for the corruption in Jubilee's administration.
ODM leader Raila Odinga scolded attacks against Deputy President William Ruto that he will jail those accused of graft if he is elected as president next year, has asked the Deputy President's allies. While drumming up support for UDA's candidate in the Kiambaa by-election, Njuguna Wanjiku, Ruto's allies faulted Odinga, claiming that suspects are never jailed till proven guilty.
Hapana tumika kunyanyasa William Ruto na watu yake. Hii serikali ni kuondoka inaondoka.
They have dug for Ruto, calling him corrupt, calling him names. They can do what they think they are capable of doing. But on the 15th of July, we shall show them what God is capable of doing.
Oh, sijui mimi nita jail suspects. Oh, mehemehe mingi nganganganga bure. Watanyamazishwa na kina mama tarehe 15.
Even as a president, you may not be very familiar with the Constitution. It is not your work, it is not your role to jail suspects. And first of all, a suspect is never jailed until they have been proven guilty.
While in Mombasa over the weekend, Odinga accused Deputy President William Ruto of being responsible for corruption within the Jubilee administration. However, responding to Odinga's statement, Ruto dragged Odinga into Jubilee's mess, linking him to the multi-billion shilling KEMSA and the kazi kwa vijana scandals.
Sisi tukishika tamu ya utawala, hao wezi wataingia ndani wote.
Wameibia watu wagonjwa kupitia kwa ile inaitwa COVID billionaires. Sasa mkiwa serikali mnaiba, mkiwa upinzani mnaiba. And the irony of the whole of this thing is that it is only in Kenya. It is only in Kenya where the opposition pretends to run the government.
However, members of parliament allied to the ODM boss have defended Odinga over Ruto's allegations, instead blaming him for the Kenyatta-led administration woes.
The corruption that Raila used to fight is the same corruption that he is fighting even today. The same Raila who has never been caught up in any corruption is the same Raila Odinga.
In this country, we have people whose first name starts with corruption, the middle name is corruption, the last name is corruption, the nickname is graft, the baptism name is kleptomaniac. Those are the names that are attached to their names. So much so that whenever you mention corruption, they are trembling all over and they're thinking you are calling out their names.
For the 5 years of the 11th Parliament, all the decisions that were made at a particular time were actually spearheaded by the Deputy President. So it baffles some of us to hear him say that the government in the second term of his leadership and President Uhuru's leadership has failed. I would like to simply ask him, what has been his role in the government for the last 8 years?
The ruling Jubilee Party and the opposition ODM are at the advanced stages of forming a pre-2022 alliance. Jubilee is also said to be planning to rebrand, following a move by a section of its members to decamp to Ruto's UDA. Musa Salah, TV 47.
And ANC party leader Musalia Mudavadi now says election timelines must be observed ahead of the 2022 election. Mudavadi, who supports the BBI process, has dismissed calls from some political quarters for the election to be pushed forward. Paul Kirubi with the details.
ANC party leader Musalia Mudavadi seems to have changed tune regarding the 2022 election, with Mudavadi now saying the election calendar must be observed His remarks coming just days after his remarks in Nakuru, where he insisted on the No BBI No election slogan, eliciting mixed reactions among Kenyans.
Vile katiba inasema uchaguzi uwe, tuwe na huo uchaguzi. Pressure itoke. That is what it should be. Tufuate sheria. Tusijaribu mambo mengine.
Mudavadi has been a supporter of BBI process that is currently facing legal battles after the High Court ruled the process is unconstitutional. His remarks coming just days after sources revealed that Baringo Senator Gideon Moi may ditch the One Kenya alliance.
How can we be proud to be seen together in funerals, but when you see he's gone for a wedding, mnasema ni makosa? Jameni, surely. Si mlimwona alienda kwa harusi? Kwa hasla? Kuna shida? Kwa sababu siasa sio uadui. Siasa sio uadui. Hata kama tukubaliani kisiasa, mambo ya familia ni mambo muhimu. So Musalia Mudavadi, please continue talking to everybody.
The NC party boss, who is eyeing the top seat in the 2022 elections, has remained tight-lipped over his next move.
Viongozi wengi katika Jubilee, kutoka Nairobi hadi Pwani, hadi Northeastern, hadi Western, hadi Rift Valley, ambao kwa mioyo yao wakiulizwa mnataka Jubilee ishikane na nani, wanataka Jubilee ishikane na Musalia Mudavadi.
Mudavadi is currently in Nakuru County in a bid to woo Nakuru residents to support him in the 2022 elections. He spent the better part of the day meeting with leaders from the region. Paul Kirobi, TV47, Nairobi.
Murang'a women leaders have petitioned the national and county governments to provide them with adequate security following reports of re-emergence of a gang that is forcefully performing the FGM cut on women in the area. Andrin Kilemi with that report.
Days after a 30-year-old woman from Kandara constituency, Murang'a County, was reportedly mutilated by her husband of 12 years, women leaders from Murang'a and Kiambu counties have condemned the act, urging the government to provide security for women in the area, whom they say have been receiving threats from a gang that is determined to circumcise women in the area.
Hatutakubali, hakuna mwanamke mwingine atafanyiwa hivyo. Mungu alituumba na akaona sisi tuko complete. Kwa hivyo hatutaki mtu mwingine mwenye anakuja kutufanyia mambo ingine.
We as a community does not subscribe to such kind of culture. That's the reason why we are here to say that those men and women out there doing FGM, they are not part of us.
Led by former Murang'a Municipality Mayor Mercy Wanjiru, the women leaders called on Chief Justice Martha Koome and Cabinet Secretary for Interior Security Fred Matiang'i to support their cause in taming the gang, which is seemingly paving its way back into the society.
Hiyo mambo ilipita, imepitwa na wakati. Na ndio tunashindwa, wanataka kuturudisha wapi? Hiyo maneno tunataka iishe na ishe kabisa. Hawa watu wamefanya hiyo kitendo, wachukuliwe hatua, wawe funzo ya wengine.
The leaders claim the resurgence of illegal gangs in the area is to blame for what is bedeviling the community.
People who are forcing our women to be circumcised are criminals. And we are saying as Gema, and I'm sure the whole of all the women in the country, that they should be apprehended.
Residents have been urged to collaborate with women leaders and security agencies to ensure safety. Andren Kilemi, TV47.
Sharon Otieno's murder trial is set to kick off, and the trial, which was expected to begin Monday and continue till the 15th of July, has been moved to start next week after the prime suspect in case, Migori Governor Okoth Obado, asked the court to suspend the hearing, citing fear of spreading and contracting the COVID-19 Delta variant. However, the ODPP has dismissed Obado's bid to delay the case, asking the court to make arrangements to accord Sharon's family justice.
So I think it will be in the interest of all persons to have the trial begin in the quickest time possible. And because none of us would know how long this pandemic will remain in our midst, we can only take mitigation measures. I have consulted the DR and I told that there is an open tent that is available that can be used by the court, and it has a capacity of 50 persons. And I believe that if the court were to sit in this open tent and strictly observe the Ministry of Health protocols as to social distancing and sanitizing, it will be possible to conduct this trial without compromising anybody's safety, especially if the number of participants would be restricted. And this would be my directions, that the number of participants will be, of people who will attend the hearings would be restricted to the accused persons, their respective counsels, the team from the DPP, counsel for the victims, as well as the immediate family of the deceased. And so that the accused persons are given an opportunity to prepare for the hearing together with their advocates. I will put off the hearings that were scheduled between today and 9th, so that hearing will proceed from the 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th. And Ms. Mwaniki, now this goes to you, so that you avail only 2 witnesses per day, and preferably the shorter witnesses to start with.
The construction of a modern multi-billion shilling convention center in Kisumu has kicked off in preparation of the 9th edition of AfriCity Summit that will be held in the Lakeside City, April 2022. Devolution Cabinet Secretary Eugene Wamalwa, who officiated the groundbreaking ceremony at the Agricultural Society of Kenya showground that is in Mamboleo, said the conference will boost the county's economy a great deal and will be completed before the end of the year. The sentiments were echoed by Kisumu Governor Professor Anyang' Nyong'o.
All the coronas of the world, but technology will meet them head on. So that technology makes it possible for the economy to go ahead, people to move, notwithstanding the threat of corona.
We were given the honor of being the first intermediary city to host this. The scriptures say, to whom much is given, much is expected.
Constantine Wasonga has retained his position as University Academic Staff Union WASU Secretary General in a hotly contested election held at the Nakuru Athletic Club. In his acceptance speech, Wasonga listed a number of demands, including salary increment for the lecturers, despite the Salaries and Remuneration Commission SRC suspending the same for 2 years. Meanwhile, Grace Nyongesa clinched the chairperson position, making history as the first woman in the country to be elected in that position.
Tell the whole country that my lineup has won. From chair to organizing secretary to trustee. Because Dons know what we have done for them. As we serve Dons from our heart. And I want to send a sounding warning to SRC. We shall negotiate. We have to. And we have to. Article 230 of the Constitution is not superior to Article 41 of the Constitution. So Dons in this country should know that they are going to have their 2021-2022 CBA. And if SRC thinks that they will be a freeze for 2 years, then there will be no learning in Kenyan public universities for also 2 years.
And I really want to thank the WASU members. They have spoken. Members have high aspirations as we take over as the office. Their aspirations are higher than they have been before. They are winners because they have spoken. And I want to ask all of us to be magnanimous in celebration. The work ahead is enormous because dons have high hopes. The NSG has spoken. He had a tough chair, the incumbent. I'm tougher than the incumbent.
Well, like I had mentioned earlier on, today we do not delve much on other stories. I think our key focus is on Kiambaa as they await to go for the by-election on the 15th. It will be historical because then, just like the others, the likes of Msambweni, the likes of what played out in Juja, this as well paints a picture of what is likely to happen in 2022 in terms of the politics of Jubilee Party, or so to speak, because these are regions that are considered or have been considered to be Jubilee Party strongholds, but it appears that UDA is giving them a run for their money. But as they would rightfully put it, UDA as well is part and parcel of Jubilee Party. It is an interesting conversation on matters politics, oblivious to the dangers that come along with COVID-19. We have still seen, different leaders going to campaign on a ground that is in Kiambaa constituency upon the demise of their legislator, that is Paul Koinange. May his soul rest in eternal peace, as they would say, on, of course, COVID-19 complications. It is evident that these individuals have for a moment forgotten how dangerous this can be. But all the same, what's important, or what's key at this particular point is just how then this is going to shape or will act as a litmus test to what is likely to happen in 2022. It's been a tough and, interesting conversation to watch, and that's exactly what we'll be having this morning. I expected to have different figures of Kiambaa, contenders for that matter. Gishia Evans had confirmed attendance, and Juguna Wawanjiko equally had confirmed attendance, but sadly we do not have them this morning. But we have Kariri Njama of Jubilee Party with us this morning, and also we have Willie. I call him Hon Willie. Hon Willie was an independent candidate the last time we were here with him, but today he has the face of UDA and therefore will ably represent Njuguna Wanjiko. We want to know what different they bring on table and why he decided that he will be convinced to join UDA as opposed to joining Honorable Kariri Njama, whom I've seen actually they have said hi to each other very well, so it appears they know each other pretty well. And I'm asking Mheshimiwa, Honorable Kariri Njama, I'm calling you honorable because I want to believe that you're going to clinch the seat. What happened? Why were you not able to convince Willie to come to your side? And he was convinced by the likes of, Kawanjiko.